So when it comes to staying informed about the pandemic, we are getting very different messages from different messengers. And we have a new poll that has very quickly told us that Donald Trump is not one of the most trusted messengers for the American people, although his approval rating is actually up. And I'm going to talk about that seeming incongruity in a moment. It may not surprise you that New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and Dr. Anthony Fauci, who's one of the top infectious disease experts in the country, he's been a fixture of at least some of Trump's press briefings. They are the most trusted people for guidance on the pandemic. And the poll asked, when it comes to official advice regarding coronavirus, please rate how much you trust the following messengers on a scale from 1 to 5, of course, a higher number being more trusted. Dr. Anthony Fauci at the top at 3.84, followed by Andrew Cuomo at 3.29, Dr. Deborah Birx close behind at 3.1, Democratic California Governor Gavin Newsom at 2.97, followed by Joe Biden. Then Mike Pence, and Donald Trump is trusted only more than Stephen Mnuchin. So look, to put it a different way, only Stephen Mnuchin is less trusted when it comes to coronavirus than Donald Trump. So I have a few different thoughts on this. So on the one hand, there's no question that, of course, Fauci and Cuomo are more trustworthy than Donald Trump. That's the reality. It's good that the polls reflect that. The other side of it is, though, the numbers should be far more stark. I mean, the degree to which Anthony Fauci and Andrew Cuomo present facts and live in the real world compared to the degree with which Donald Trump is living in a fantasy world with just lies and distortions, you would hope that the numbers were more than, a 1 point something points apart. But let me talk about the other side of this for a second, because Donald Trump's approval rating is up. The portion of the population that believes Donald Trump is handling coronavirus properly is quite high. It's much higher than anyone who's been paying attention in a real way would expect it to be. And so it seems like there's a disconnect there. How can Donald Trump be so not trusted when it comes to the specifics of coronavirus, while at the same time, he's got the highest approval rating of his presidency, or at least tied with the highest approval rating of his presidency? I don't think there's as much of a disconnect there as some people might think. Here's what's going on. It appears that on the facts, most Americans realize what Donald Trump says about the virus is not accurate. He's either lying, he's incompetent, he doesn't know, he's being deceptive. But at the same time that Americans recognize that, we know that during national crises, there is a degree of a rally around the president effect. It's only a few points of approval that Donald Trump has gained, and that's probably what explains it. Trump, because of the rally around the president mentality during a crisis, in this case, a pandemic, has gained a little bit of approval there. But on the facts, Americans realize that the guy is a buffoon when it comes to coronavirus. Now, there's another issue that's probably a factor. In the United States, we've got very densely populated areas and very rural, depopulated areas. Right now, it's much more the densely populated areas that are having the coronavirus cases and the deaths. So there are probably lots of people who are saying, I'm not seeing many cases in my area. I don't know of anybody who's got it. I'm not hearing about death. So therefore, Donald Trump must be handling this well, while simultaneously realizing when they hear Trump speak that on the facts of the day to day, he probably can't be trusted. Now, when it comes to Dr. Fauci, there are more and more questions about how long he's going to be allowed to have a public presence, because he doesn't seem completely on board with every idiotic thing that Donald Trump says, although there's some limit to how much he can express that disagreement publicly. There's no doubt that despite Donald Trump saying 2 days ago when he was asked, is everything okay with you and Dr. Fauci? He said, of course, of course, of course. If I found out in a few days that Fauci was gone or resigned, it would not be a huge surprise. I'm not saying I expect it to happen, but it would not be surprising. Could be a combination of, Trump gets very jealous. People seem to like and trust Dr. Fauci much more, as we see from this poll. Trump's not going to like that. Additionally, Dr. Fauci, I can't imagine is going to say, let's let her rip on April 12. That could create a point of conflict. It wouldn't be shocking to me if we never see Dr. Fauci again, at least with Donald Trump after a few days. Lastly, let me talk about Donald Trump's daily press conferences. There's a growing debate over whether corporate media should or shouldn't cover the daily coronavirus press conferences from Donald Trump, because on the one hand, Donald Trump is using them to spread disinformation. He's telling lies. He's cheerleading his handling of coronavirus. On the other hand, it is the president speaking about a national emergency and a pandemic. So what should corporate media do? So this is not to pat myself on the back because lots of people are doing this. What corporate media should do is to, in real time, fact check Donald Trump. You've got to be ready when Trump says things about testing. We've tested more people than anyone. We say we have 340 million people on a per capita basis. That's not true. And that's what matters. When Donald Trump says GM is making ventilators, we point out and we say, no, GM is making a list of parts they would need and figuring out where they would get the parts. That's what GM has done so far. GM is not making ventilators. I don't know that corporate media is willing to do it because they will take heat from the right if they do that. That would be the responsible way to cover Donald Trump's press conferences and publicly push for Trump not to be a part of them. Say, we just want to hear from the doctors and the public health experts. That's what they should do. I wouldn't expect them to do it.